Hello everyone, it's Little Lollycat here, and I've decided I should do a video on the Binge and Purge cycle since I've been mentioning it a lot recently. And it's something that I know a lot of people go through, where they overindulge for a short period of time and then they purge it for a long period of time because they have these feelings of guilt. So I decided I would give some tips on how to avoid or ways to at least lessen the blow. Now, the obvious first tips is if you're going to purge, there is a good chance you're going to come back to it. So if you're going to purge, try and do it more like you put things away. You put things into storage somewhere you're not going to see it, but you'll know that you can still go back to it, because people have spent hundreds and hundreds just to throw it away because they've been purging. And at the end of the day, I've never heard of someone that purged that hasn't came back at some point. It may have taken them years. I've heard of people that have spent 7 years not indulging and then came back and then binged again and then felt the need to purge, and because of it they're spending all this money that they don't need to spend. So binge and purge tends to affect a lot of people, and it can affect people worst at the beginning, I found. Like, what I've heard is people, when they first sort of discover it, they overindulge, they jump right in, they dive in too fast for themselves, and they don't give themselves time to adjust. So obviously my biggest tip is take things at baby steps. And that's probably, like, that kind of pun is probably chosen well there. Take things in baby steps. Like, don't suddenly just buy an entire case of like diapers and try and wear them every day for a month, because you're probably going to mess yourself up a little bit doing that. Realise these things take time to sort of build up. And it's okay to have time in between. It's okay to have these breaks of being an adult. You don't have to be constantly an ABDL, and you don't have to constantly be this adult figure. You can swap between. It's normal. You shouldn't have to worry that because one day you haven't thought about a diaper that it means that you're not ABDL anymore and you need to throw everything away. That's not normal. Well, that is normal thought. That is normal for people to experience, but it's not strange for you to experience these feelings. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with you. It's nothing wrong with ABDL. It's just something that happens. People are raised in societies that tell them that you need to be an adult. Once you've passed a certain age, you need to be adult, you need to be mature at all times. And I've heard this is particularly bad in the US, and I've heard it from people from the US that's particularly bad. Like, even my old flatmate thought she couldn't go to Disney anymore because she thought that was too immature. Although now she's been going because I told her she should, and she's been enjoying it. Whereas here, we have this sort of mix between people, well, in the UK we have this mix of people who are raised and told that they need to be an adult at all times, and those who are raised and told you don't need to be an adult at all times as long as you're an adult when it matters. And it's this last bit that I need to emphasise. As long as you can pay your bills, be independent, and actually function as a normal human being alongside ABDL, then it doesn't matter. That's what you need to aim for. You don't need to think that just because you do something, it's like a bit odd behind the scenes. That's not a bad thing. Loads of people do that. Everyone has a weird quirk to them. It's just that some people judge ours a little bit weirder, which personally I don't. Like, another point is, what you're doing is harming no one. So you like to wear diapers. That isn't the end of the world. That's not a bad thing. There are people out there that wear them and don't want to wear them. That's a shame, but obviously it's not a bad thing to find comfort from something that isn't harmful. Like I said, as long as you can separate it, it isn't harmful. There is nothing wrong in what you are doing. Everyone regresses to an extent. Some people just regress further. You need to come to terms with the fact that while some people may find this odd, a lot of people can understand it to an extent. It is something that is explainable. It is something that exists in all walks of life. There are more of us than people realise, and a lot of us hide behind the scenes. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to be loud and proud about it. You need to be comfortable with yourself. That's the most important part. Come to terms and be comfortable with yourself. I strongly encourage and advise meeting other littles. Like, even more than I encourage meeting bigs for littles, I encourage meeting other littles because it helps you come to terms with who you are and what you are, and it helps you understand yourself a bit more and understand what you like and what you don't like. And that's really important. Like, because I hung around with other littles so much in between and spoke to other littles, that's what helped me realise, to begin with, that this sort of like big temptation I had going towards wearing for a while, that it wasn't wrong and it wasn't a bad thing, and that is quite normal, and that's important. It is normal for many people, and you find people who are littles who are in like important jobs. You find them in high stress environments, you find them in low stress environments, you find them in upper classes, middle classes, lower classes, working classes, underclass. You find them in every walk of life. You find them from abusive backgrounds, you find them from non-abusive backgrounds, you find them from people who have been spoiled as child, you find them from people who had nothing as a child. You find them from people with high IQs, you find them from people with lower IQs, you find them from all walks of life. And they are still functioning and being able to function as an adult. Like, as well as little, and it's just about getting that balance in your life and finding a balance. And I really hope you manage it. Like, for me, it started off with me wearing like once a week, which for some is quite high, but I wore once a week. I didn't have a pacifier at the time. I did have a sippy cup. And then I kind of upped it a bit, and then I wore once a week, but I had a pacifier which I used, and I didn't necessarily use them in conjunction. I used them when and as I felt it was needed, or when I wanted it, or when I felt particularly stressed. And instead of forming this, oh, I need to do it or else I'm not fitting in, or I need to do it or else it's like a waste of money and stuff like that, instead of all that, I sort of went, well, this is when I feel like I need to do it, this is when I want to do it, and I kind of stuck to the keeping it with the soft and the fuzzy and the warm feeling and the feeling that it was doing something positive in my life instead of negative, and it really helped. So, when first starting out, when you're struggling with these things, think about it in that way. Keep it warm and fuzzy, keep it positive, because when you bring in negatives, that's when you're going to want to purge. You need to avoid those negatives. And you need to avoid the kind of people that would make you feel negative because of it as well. Like, that's not just to say that, like, you can't be friends with anyone that isn't a little, because obviously you can. Like, it'd be unhealthy if you couldn't be friends with anyone that wasn't a little. You need other things to bond over. But say if your friend found out, even by accident, that you were one, you need to be aware of, would they support you? Would they take it in their stride but not really say anything about it, or would they be negative towards you? And if they're negative towards you, and pushingly so, or would cause any harm in that respect, then you shouldn't be friends with them, because they're clearly not a real friend. It helps having friends and people that understand around you. It helps being able to talk to people about it. It helps, but it's also important to bond with people on a deeper level when talking to them about it, because then it's more personal to the two of you then. You learn more about each other that way. It helps with the cycles, and I think that's like the best way to sort of approach it. And it probably always will be the best way to approach it. Take it in healthy steps, take it in small steps, get your body used to it, acclimatise to it. Get used to the idea of it. Just because you're wearing straight away doesn't mean that you have to wet straight away. Just because you're wearing doesn't mean that you have to mess. You may never mess, you may not want to, you may never wet, you may not ever want to wet. And these are all normal things. Everyone is complex. You may be little but not want to wear, and you shouldn't feel forced into it, and you shouldn't just do it because other people want you to. Okay? That's as simple as I can make it. Like, all of these things, all this pressure and this negativity all pushes towards purge cycles, this guilt that you may feel. And for those who feel like it's weird or that you need psychiatric help, I can safely tell you that I was in psychiatric help. Like, I got plenty of it. I was in therapy for 11 years. I did 11 years worth of therapy. And at the end of the day, what it taught me was ways to cope. And one of the ways it taught me to cope was through doing this. It was encouraged. It allows you to be emotional. It allows you to express yourself better to other people. And that is not a negative thing. That is a good thing. And as long as you aren't only just going to use it as not just a coping mechanism, but because it helps relax you, because it helps bring this positivity and this fluffy warmth into your life, like, because it does that, it's positive. You shouldn't think of throwing something away because it's good for you. And you shouldn't let anyone make you feel like it isn't good for you if it is. You could be coping in other ways, you could be doing other things, you could be smoking, which obviously has all the cancer risks, you could be drinking, which obviously has tons of risks and puts you in danger, you could be, like, taking drugs, you could be in a bad place and doing all these different things that are all negative, and you're not. You just happen to regress. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. You happen to regress. You have a slightly different lifestyle to others, and that is a good thing. Okay? So I hope this is helpful to you. It's ended up a bit pep talky, I think, but, you know, I've seen so many people do it. I wanted to address it, and I'm hoping that it can help some of you. And yeah, I will talk to you all later. Bye everyone.